All right, Rangers, so we're working on our bench here. So now we've got the aprons all done and it's assembled. And so now we got to figure out how to get this lower apron in. And so what we want to do now is clamp the top of this together really tight and then measure off where we want the lower apron so we can mark off where it's going to go and how long it should be. And so we made those aprons with only one mortise on it so that we can get it down where we want it and then cut it so that it fits with every particular bench. So we're going to do that next. So we're going to put these angle blocks because the 5-degree taper on each one of these, if I pull square with the jaws, I'm going to dent more of the bottom or put more pressure on the bottom and the top. So this little angle piece will keep that pressure even. So I'll put one here and one over here and then crank it down. And you watch those gaps start to disappear, and then I'll be tight. And you might even notice here that I've got some brand new clamps. So the PTO granted us about $500 to buy some new clamps, and so Home Depot didn't have all the ones that I needed in one spot, so yesterday I picked up 3. So we got 3 new ones, and I hopefully should be able to get about 10 more with that much money. So it's pretty exciting. Some new clamps because ours are getting pretty beat up here. All right, so I'm going to measure up about 3.5 inches from the bottom for this one. And for this one, I'm going to make a mark. Then I'm going to transfer that over to this side now that the top apron and the legs are assembled tight together with those blocks and our new Schwanke clamps. All right, so I'm going to take this apron here, and I've got a mark at 3.5 here and a mark at 3.5 here. When I CNC this, I want the angled high side to be to the left on the CNC, so I want to be able to see this side facing me. So I'm going to put it down like this. Put that one on this mark, that one on this mark, and then take my pencil underneath there and trace a line across the bottom. All right, so I got my line here. That's where I'm going to need to start that tenon. And I got my line here. These could be slightly different, so I don't want to confuse them. So I'm also going to put some numbers on here. So we're going to call this A, and A, B, B, C, C, D, D. And so this mark is where we're going to put the shoulder for the tenon. It's going to help us line that up. We go down to the CNC machine. All right, so back here on the CNC router, I'm going to take that line that we just drew, and we want to put that level to the bottom because that's where we set our Z-axis height for our bit, and so that the shoulder for that tenon should come right to that pencil mark. So we're going to lower that down, lock it in, and cut it right there. Now we're going to run the 2-inch file rather than the 2.5 because that piece is only 2 inches wide. So that tenon is a little longer than what we need because we didn't really know how long we wanted that piece. And so now we can just cut that down to fit inside, and that lines up for our next part. All right, so both lower aprons are cut now. So I need to cut that tenon down a little bit because it's too long. So I'm going to line this opposite side up with that shoulder and make a mark across here and then cut it on the miter saw. All right, so now we got those to fit in here and here. So we're going to line those up with our pencil marks. This one down just a touch with our pencil marks, and then what I want to do is take my pencil and mark off where each tenon fits. Find my pencil here. Now I'm going to take that template and mark out where that mortise needs to be drilled. All right, so I darkened in those 2 lines where the mortise is. Now I'm going to take that template that we used. I'm going to find the side that lined up with the top. And now we're going to take this edge down and I'm going to straddle those marks for this mortise so that we're flush to the outside edge and even with the marks. All right, so we've got A and B, and we have C and D. So we'll run over to the milling machine and we'll mill those 4 slots, and we'll hopefully be able to put these A-frames together. All right, so just like last time, we've got this thing set up with our 5-degree blocks on both sides so that that stays parallel and the leg stays at an angle. And we will mill these out now. All right, so all 4 of those lower apron mortises are done now, so we can assemble both A-frames and see how they fit together. All right, so now we're going to take A and A, put those together, and again, remember we want to be able to push this in and not need a clamp or a hammer to get it to go. Get it tight, top side's tight. Now we have 3, 4, 5, 6, so we need 7. So here's our 7. And our A-frame is together. So a little clamping and some tweaking and it should be good to go. So now we do the same thing we did for the top. We put the block, the 5-degree blocks in each side so that the parallel jaws can pull square and tight. Same on the bottom side, 5-degree, 5-degree. Make sure that we're square here. And we're looking for no gaps in between here. So this one looks perfect. And so Brady's A-frame is done. If this was in class right now, I would have you guys sand these. Get everything sanded down real good, and then we would glue the A-frame together. And so that would be our next step, is to sand it up and get it glued together. Once it's sanded and then glued, then you really don't have to do much work with this after the fact. So it's kind of nice to get that step out of the way. Since you guys are going to probably assemble these either next semester or at home, I'm just getting the parts cut for you. So this is where this one is going to kind of stop for the moment. Change the orientation, hope it doesn't mess up our video here. But anyway, after the A-frames would be glued, which is what we normally would do right now, then we would clamp in the upper aprons. And again, because those legs are on angles, we're going to use those 5-degree blocks with the longer clamps, put the thick side up, and clamp in both A-frames to the upper rails, upper aprons, so that we can measure how long the lower aprons have to be. All right, so you can see that that's super tight, that's super tight. We're good here. So conceptually, this is exactly where both A-frames would stand. And so I should be able to get an accurate measurement from lower apron to lower apron to know exactly where to cut that. So I got a couple of lower aprons sitting in there, and they're a little extra long, which I told you guys to do. And so now what we want to do is get one side cut clean and get a good measurement on it and cut it so that it fits in there just perfect. This is probably the trickiest part of the whole project because you have all these parts coming together at this final juncture here. And so we want to make sure that it doesn't get cut too short, or if it's too wide, then these joints start getting pushed apart. And so we want to be careful of that too. So it's really, I cut a little bit, check it, cut a little bit, check it, and make sure that it fits in nice. Also, these lower aprons may not be exactly 90 degrees or exactly perpendicular. So I usually have maybe a half a degree that I've got to cut on here. So I want to kind of dial that in also as I'm putting these together. All right, so we've got this one cut to size now. There's a few, because we haven't glued those A-frames, we got a few more moving parts than normal, but we want to get that to fit in there so that it's just kind of sitting in there, not putting too much pressure on it, but also not falling loose. So put a clamp on that and it should go in there nice and snug. So now we got to flip it around to the other side. All right, so we got both of those lower aprons cut to size and perfectly fit in there. And so as far as I'm going to go with this video, we need to cut a loose tenon in both of these. And we also need to cut our pockets up here so that we can mount the top on. And that'll be our last 2 steps before this bench is ready to roll.